Did you, like Isla, miraculously start sleeping well again after finding our little ecosystem, only to see that miracle fade away and sleep struggles resume? If so, this video is for you. We will see why that sleep miracle happens, why it doesn't last, and how you make peaceful sleep permanent. Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm a sleep physician turned sleep coach and creator of the Sleep Coach School, in which we help high achievers with insomnia leave that struggle for the rest of their lives. In this episode, we are going to look at a comment from Isla. I hope I'm saying that correctly. We have a series called Mind in the Comments. If you're new here, we will look at comments from the community and see what we can learn from them. So without further ado, let us jump in and look at this comment, which is recent. It is from 23 hours ago, and it is on the title on the video that has a thumbnail from Oz to Immunity. And Isla writes, "I'm in the yo-yo phase. After just a few days of your videos, I thought I cured my insomnia. Had a week of 8+ hours of sound sleep. Felt like a miracle. Also felt amazing. Then a bad night and all unraveled again last 3 days. As I lie in bed now, I think I'm excessively telling my brain, I'm safe. Thank you for the thoughts, the anxiety, but brain, I'm safe. And maybe using that model as a clutch to manage the anxiety. It worked initially, but now I'm in the yo-yo phase. Any tips to not excessively use befriending wakefulness or telling your brain you are safe on repeat, but really feeling anxious about it? The phrasing worked so well for a week, so I almost am afraid not to use it. I think also feeling so good after such great sleep added to the issue now, because I do feel worse when I don't sleep. I love just closing my eyes and being done with it. So I tell myself I'm safe and okay to sleep and not sleep now, but deep down I would prefer to sleep because the week of sleep was just so nice. Thank you so much for all your content and help. Forever grateful. I'm also forever grateful for you sharing this with us so we can learn together. And I'm, of course, so glad that you're here and that you've already experienced where our way leads. Now, with that said, I have a few questions that I think will really, really clarify things for you, Isla, and anyone else who tunes in here. The first question we have is, why did Isla experience this sleep miracle? No doubt Isla had struggled with sleep, otherwise Isla wouldn't be here. I don't know if you go by he, she, them, they, but I'm just gonna say she. I just maybe guessing that that might be correct, but why did Isla experience this sleep miracle? So again, I think that Isla is somebody who has struggled with sleep and had insomnia, and that happens when our brain makes this misjudgment, mistake, mislabeling of wakefulness, of not sleeping, as a threat. And then we're in this cycle that we call insomnia, where we think that not sleeping is not just something we prefer not to have, like we all have a preference of sleeping well, right? But when we think of not sleeping as a threat, danger, meaning something is wrong, right? Then that keeps us awake. And that when we're not sleeping and we think like this means there is a danger, then our brain gets kind of alerted by that, and then it keeps us awake, and we think like, oh no, this means I'm in danger, and that is a cycle we call insomnia. Now, Isla found her way here, started learning, started understanding, and what happened that was her brain started seeing that there actually was no real threat. There was no danger. There was just a misunderstanding, and that led to the quote-unquote miracle of sleep. When Isla saw that there was no danger, no threat, then her brain calmed down, saw that there was nothing needed to do, that no intervention needed, and that led to quote-unquote the miracle of sleep. Now, second question for us is like, why did it feel amazing for Isla? Why did it feel so amazing? The tricky thing here is that it can seem like evidence that sleeping a certain amount is what makes us feel amazing. So Isla can easily think like, if I just get those 8 hours, I'll feel amazing. But in reality, that's not it. We feel amazing when we have relief, reassurance, when we see that, oh, there's nothing wrong. When Isla slept and thought, this means there's nothing wrong with me. I'm going to be fine. I don't have to struggle. I'm going to be okay. That leads us to feel amazing. If we are simply sleep deprived, if we have like small kids and we sleep very little for years, or obligations that keeps them sleeping well, yeah, we can feel tired and sleepy. And when we kind of catch up with sleep, we feel like, oh, that was really nice. But that's not what Isla is describing. She's describing like that it felt just amazing. A weight is lifted off her shoulders, the monkeys off her back, right? That's what Isla is describing. That doesn't come from sleeping X amount of hours. That comes from the same place as sleeping well, which is the sense of safety, that there's no threat, no danger, no fight we need to be engaged in. Which leads us to the third question here. Why did the phrasing stop working? Initially, when Isla found our way here, she was repeating to herself, I'm safe, there's no danger, I'm going to be okay, there's just a misunderstanding. And she then fell asleep, but then it kind of stopped working. And she's even like, she kind of knows this is like a safety behavior, and then she's kind of using it to escape anxiety, which is always tricky, but is also afraid not to use it, And the thing that is really, really, I think, key to understand here is that phrasing, those words, that self-talk, it was never what worked, That never worked in the first place. What quote unquote worked was just the understanding that there is no threat, no danger, right? And that phrasing just was a kind of gentle reminder for Isla that, yeah, that's true. There's no danger. There's nothing. There's just a statement of fact. That's just like taking note of something that is true. But that phrasing can often turn into like an effort. It can, when we have kind of told ourselves those things just because it was, a statement of truth. We just taking note of reality, and we happen to sleep well and feel well, then our brain can be like, this is the trick. This is what we're going to do. I'm just going to use this wording. I'm just going to use this phrasing to achieve sleep. And then now it's no longer just a statement of truth. Now it's like an attempt to sleep, an attempt to have control. And when we're trying to have control, another way to say that is that we're, again, attempting to feel safe. We're attempting to feel like there's no threat. And if we're trying to be safe, that means what? That means we're thinking there is a threat, right? So that simply means that all that happens here is that the idea that something is wrong just kind of resurfaces. It kind of resurfaced, and then we kind of use strategies to kind of control that thought, control the idea, control the emotions. And then that's tricky because now we're again in the mind space of like, okay, there is a fight, there is a threat, there is something we have to do. But all this is like very, very common on the recovery journey. Our brain can go from thinking we're perfectly safe to high alert in like seconds. You're crossing the street and you see a bus coming from you. You go from like completely peaceful to like high alert, in seconds. But you don't go back the same way. Even if you cross the street safely, there was no, the bus wasn't actually near you. You don't immediately go like, okay, that's fine, now I'm gonna keep going. You're gonna be like, oh my gosh, that was a close one. Why didn't I see that? What if it happens again? Have I missed buses in the past? We quickly go into kind of high alert mode, but it takes a while before we see that, okay, we're all fine. There's nothing I need to worry about right now. Same thing in the recovery journey, these ideas of like, oh, maybe there's a threat after all. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe, those happen every now and then, and we get a little spooked, and then we have some trouble sleeping again, et cetera, et cetera. But they're just there to learn from. Like every time that happens, we learn that, no, this was another false alarm, another false alarm, another false alarm. And if we had, a number of false alarms, then we see that there is no need for an alarm in the first place. So just something to learn from. And then when we when we intellectually know that there's no threat, when we experience these false alarms many times, and we see, we kind of like, emotionally learned, experientially learned, subconsciously learned, then the quote unquote miracle becomes our new reality. And we find peaceful sleep and peace of mind. I hope this was really helpful to you, Isla, and everybody else there in the community. And I'll see you next time. Hi, it's me, Coach Daniel, and I hope that you found a ton of value in the video that you just saw. Now, if somebody would ask me, hey, Daniel, what do you think would really help somebody who has tuned in to a lot of the videos, who understands a lot, but who's just not seeing things change for them? I would say contextualization, discourse, to talk to somebody who understands what you've been going through, that you can ask questions to, get a reply, ask a follow-up question, get another reply, etc. That conversation so often starts to clarify things and really kickstarts your journey towards peaceful sleep. And one way you can have such a conversation is by booking a call with one of our coaches. In fact, you can head over to our website, thesleepcoachschool.com, and you can see which coaches offer calls and check out their individual success story to see if their story relates with you, and you find that connection that leads you to see that this is a person that I could work with. This is a person I would talk to. And then you can book a call, and that could be what really kickstarts your journey to where you want to be.